Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rebecca Vieira, and I'm the coordinator of the Inter-American Teacher Education Network, an initiative of the Organization of American States. I am so happy to have all of you here with us today, both those of you who are here with us live, as well as those who might be watching on social media later on. Tonight's presentation is actually the second part, or the second group rather, of Stemming the Blended Approach, Experiences from Jamaican Teachers in Teaching STEM Through Blended Learning. So we're very excited to have another crew of really innovative teachers with us tonight to share exactly how they've responded to COVID, but also just in general to students' needs, right, which are often quite varied. We'll be hearing from moderator Carrie-Ann Reed Buckner, who will be taking us through tonight's session, which will actually include 11 different teachers from Jamaica. And we'll also hear from a number of leads within Jamaica as well. Before we do get started, though, I want to give you just a very brief overview of what I-10 is. The Inter-American Teacher Education Network is a community of teachers and teacher educators and policymakers all across the Caribbean, Latin America, and also a few people from the United States as well. Our donor is the U.S. mission to the OAS, so we're very grateful to them for the support that they've offered us over the past 3 years, during which time our focus has really been on the specific needs of STEM teachers. STEM refers to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and its integration. But we really do believe that all teachers can be STEM teachers, from preschool to generalists in primary schools through to high school, for example, where you might have very highly specialized STEM teachers such as chemistry and physics and maths and engineering teachers, et cetera. And of course, it goes beyond that. But our focus is really about supporting teachers and supporting them in teaching these really critical 21st century skills. So that's a bit about us. You can check out our website in the lower right-hand corner, and I will also share a little bit more about us after tonight's presentation. So again, tonight's presentation is all about Jamaican experiences, which are highly relevant to the rest of the Caribbean and frankly to the rest of the world as well, because they've got a myriad of approaches to respond to how do we teach interactively offline? How do we teach interactively when we are in person? And how do we combine those two? At this point, I am going to hand it over to our next speaker, who will give a little bit of an overview of how we will proceed. So thank you very much. Go ahead and hand it over.
Thank you, Rebecca. Members of the OAS I-10 team, my apologies, Ministry of Education and other visiting ministry personnel, Dr. Gordon and Dr. Thomas from the Jamaica Teaching Council, specially invited guests, colleagues all, good afternoon. The following quote is attributed to an old Italian proverb, as well as to other sources, and it says, "Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime." Now today we are not here to dispute the origin of the quote, but really we want to focus on its essence, its meaning. The Organization of American States, OAS, is the umbrella group of the Inter-American Teacher Education Network, I-10, and they offered funding for a plethora of STEM-related activities to Jamaica and to many other countries within the region. Now today, my colleagues, we are here to witness the culmination of and see the impact of the Seed Grant Initiative that was headed by the Master Teacher Unit in the Jamaica Teaching Council. Teachers were taught how to fish through sustained and direct mentorship from 5 master teachers. Now, joining us this afternoon is the director of the Master Teacher Unit in the Jamaica Teaching Council, Ms. Dr. Joseph Thomas. And now I am going to invite him to bring greetings in his capacity.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you. Miss Rebecca Vieira, Dr. Vincent Gordon, moderator, Miss Bucknam, trainer, Miss Bhagya Maladi, master teachers, presenters, invited guests, educators, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Greetings from Jamaica. Welcome to another webinar organized by the Jamaica master teachers. This time, they are taking the role of mentors and working with a group of teachers to increase their proficiency in online teaching, specifically the blended approach. The national school curriculum in Jamaica is emphasizing the STEM approach in teaching. This time, we proudly include presenters from 2 beginning teachers who completed the teacher training and about to joining the workforce in the immediate future. This mentoring session have been going for some time. The master teachers have been working with a group of teachers in their respective specialities in developing STEM-based lesson plans and executing those lessons in the emerging learning environment, the online teaching. This intervention is a capacity building engagement to enhance the teachers to be more effective and efficient in this challenging period. Today, we have 12 teachers sharing their learning experience and the interactive sessions that they had with their students. I hope this will be a motivation for the other teachers who are still struggling to reach out to their students. We find the significance of blended learning, and that is very critical at this time. And it is demanded by the pandemic because our students are staying away from the classrooms. It is not necessary that our in-service teachers who had completed their teacher training program a couple of years ago can deal with this kind of situation. So it is important to develop this type of empowerment opportunity for our teachers. It is a unique professional development opportunity for both the teachers and the master teachers. The scope of this intervention is relevant and applicable even after the pandemic threat. The acquired skill can be integrated in the teaching and learning process, regardless of the modality of teaching. The training sessions were designed in a way that the teachers can continue that training with their colleagues, and we look forward for the ripple effect. The collaboration between JTC and I-10 was productive for the last couple of years, and following is some of the major activities. We have online training for science teachers on MOOCs, trainer of trainer programs, corporate grants for educators, seed grant for teacher development project, teacher leadership fund worth of $1,000 received by more than 6 teachers, more than 5 projects involving representatives from US, South America, and English-speaking Caribbean, training for publishing article for teachers. Jamaican students and the educators got an opportunity to participate in an international roundtable discussion. A series of webinars from Jamaican teachers hosted on I-10 platform during the pandemic time. The two teachers are accepted as teacher fellows for extended training in emerging pedagogy, specifically STEM, and the list goes on. I would like to say thanks to OAS I-10, specifically to Ms. Rebecca Vieira, for her continued support extended for the professional development of teachers in Jamaica for the past years. The partnership between JTC and OAS I-10 created various professional development opportunities for the Jamaican teachers in STEM approach. I am happy to announce that this partnership was really a collaboration, and Jamaica was not just downloaders. We also very active in uploading resources. A series of webinars on the I-10 platform is a testimony for it. Perhaps Jamaica hosted the highest number of webinars compared to any other member countries of OAS in South America, Caribbean, and US during the COVID pandemic period. I want to express my sincere thanks to Master Teacher, Ms. Bhagya Maladi, for her unreserved support and commitment to provide the training for all the webinars that we were presented during this period. Thanks to the master teachers who participated in this intervention with the intention to share their expertise to the fellow teachers to improve their teaching skills. Thanks to the teachers who joined this team effort that is enhancing their pedagogical skills, which will have a positive impact for the meaningful learning experience for our students. Let me say a big thank you to Dr. Winsome Gordon, Chief Executive Officer of Jamaica Teaching Council, for her guidance and support that we enjoyed all the time. Thanks again to all educators participating in this webinar. Now I am inviting Dr. Winsome Gordon for her message. Dr. Gordon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. And thank you, Madam Moderator, Mrs. Kerry-Ann Buckner, Ms. Rebecca Vieira, OAS I-10 Coordinator, and other members of her team. Dr. Thomas, I had mentioned before, who is the coordinator of the OAS I-10 program in the Jamaica Teaching Council, and other members of the JTC team, master teachers, colleague educators, ladies and gentlemen, students if there are, good evening. I'm delighted to be with you in this culminating webinar, sharing experiences of Jamaican classrooms in teaching STEM through blended learning. The collaboration between the Jamaica Teaching Council and OAS I-10 as a development partner is substantial and substantive evidence of the educational benefits to be derived in the digital space. I have been able to visit some of the development sessions and to walk through your poster display thanks to the help of Mrs. Maladi. As I navigated my way and lost my way and found my way again. And I have been impressed with the quality of the work of the master teachers. On behalf of the Jamaica Teaching Council, I wish to congratulate the OAS I-10 team for sustained support to enable an effective partnership. On our JTC side, kudos to Dr. Joseph Thomas, whose commitment to the Master Teachers Program is unimaginable. He has dedicated his professional life to the program and to assuring and maintaining excellence in the performance of Master Teachers. Congratulations to the Master Teachers who have demonstrated that they are masters in their professional sphere. I have watched them at work and I have seen their seamless transition into the digital space, demolishing the concrete walls of the classroom without forklifts. Bravo, bravo. I must make special mention, of course, of Miss Bhagya Maladi, Teacher of the Year, for her unbounding energy, competence, and willingness to take on challenges, and they were many. This program supports and enables the pursuits of national goals to achieve excellence in STEM education. Jamaica Teaching Council welcomes the strategy of the program to cascade capacity building, and in so doing, to empower many more colleagues to become masters of their craft. This program is timely. As the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Honorable Favour Williams is committed to expanding the Master Teachers cadre to all quality education circles across school levels and selected curriculum subjects. The Jamaica Teaching Council has high expectations of this group in that expansion process, and we invite OAS I-10 to continue its partnership with JTC in our efforts to build and sustain masters in the teaching profession. And I love to use the word masters because you're really masters of your craft. This professional empowerment experience is not just an intervention. It is a new normal. Blended teaching is here to stay as we progress further into the digital age. I cannot but mention Sophia, my favorite AI. She's very well developed and is ready to be a teacher assistant anytime now. Mastery in the profession will keep it relevant and irreplaceable. Transformational teachers will be in great demand across the world. These are teachers who are aware that the purpose of teaching is not to carry out the transactions that robots can do better, but rather to see teaching as effectively molding the lives for a sustainable future, molding young lives for a future that we hardly know, a future that we can hardly predict. Hence, you go forth in collaboration with Jamaica Teaching Council. I urge all of us to think critically, communicate effectively, collaborate meaningfully, and create wisely as we build the Jamaica in which we live, do business, and raise families. In recognition of the outstanding service to professional development and empowerment, and to the quality partnership with the Jamaica Teaching Council as an agent of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, I'm inviting Miss Rebecca Vieira to accept a certificate of recognition for her commitment to excellence in the partnership. In the meantime, congratulations are extended also to the others in the team, namely Miss Alison Owens, Project Teams Coordinator, Miss Patricia Murray, Grants Event Coordinator, and Miss Carmen Del Pilar Suarez Rodriguez, Teacher Fellowship Coordinator. I'm confident that the experience of the evening will be excellent and long-lasting. Do enjoy it. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gordon. Words can really put us into a place where we can just sit back and just listen to you all day. But we don't want to deny those persons who would have worked so hard to put their presentations together. And I'm also very mindful of the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am certain you are all familiar with this quote by John Quincy Adams, and it says, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are indeed a leader." There is no doubt that Dr. Gordon and Dr. Thomas have earned the right to be called leaders. Please, well, because we're in the webinar, you can't use your emojis to show some love, but where you are sitting, show them some love by clapping, although we won't hear. Thank you. Yes, yes, I'm seeing the hands raised up, so that means that you're clapping. I appreciate it. Now, another person among us who has definitely earned the title of leader is Mrs. Bagia Maladi, Master Teacher Extraordinaire. Colleagues, do put your hands together again as she will shed some light on who will be our presenters for this afternoon. Over to you, Bagia.
Good afternoon, educators. I'm so humbled, at the same time honored, to be in the midst of so many awesome educators. Yes, we have done it and we have come so far, right? And I'm not going to go any further now, but let me introduce you to the team and the presenters for this evening. Sit back, relax, enjoy the presentations. Thank you. Over to you, Mrs. Buckner.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Maladi. Colleagues, our penultimate and final webinars were titled Stemming the Blended Approach. And synonymous with this title we will be seeing a blend of not only presenters, but also a blend of topics, a blend of educational levels and subject areas today. We have a range of presenters who are student teachers, classroom teachers, and master teachers. There is something for everyone from beginning, early childhood level, all the way to the secondary level of the education system. And now, without further ado, I invite you to relax and get some great ideas of how to implement STEM activities on a budget. Take it away now, Mrs. Maladi, with our first set of presentations.
Thank you.
Hello, my esteemed colleagues. It is indeed an honor to be among the presenters at yet another OAS I-10 webinar. Today, we will be combining one property of light, a grade 6 topic, with the eyes and how we see, a grade 4 topic, both of which are found in the National Standards curriculum. I am Karen Reed Buckner, Senior Teacher at Catherine Hall Primary and Infant School in Montego Bay, St. James. Let us get into it.
Now, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, wherever you go and whatever you do, you are surrounded by science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Therefore, STEM is nothing new to our curriculum. We were just referring to our daily activities by different names. As was said before, our subject is science, and in today's activity, we expect students, or you, our participants, to achieve three main objectives. 1, understand or demonstrate that light travels in a straight line. 2, explain the path light takes to enter the eye. And 3, appreciate the importance of light in the process of seeing objects.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting STEM class. Today we are going to do an activity that should help us to better able to understand how it is that light enters the eye. The materials we are going to use are a black screen, or this is a paper, but you can use a piece of cloth. Alright, we're going to use tape if necessary, and the tape, I used it to roll my paper together. This became this, but instead of rolling a piece of paper together, you could use a paper towel, a finished paper towel roll. And you will also need a source of light. Now the activity that we're going to do, the procedure, involves us shining the light through the hole onto the screen, and we're going to try to change around where it is that we put the light to see if, or to see what will happen on the screen. All right, so we're going to turn off the lights now and see what happens. All right, so like I said, we are going to focus our light source through the paper onto the screen. Okay, so here goes. I'm putting it directly through the hole that is there. What do you see? Do you see light coming through? How about I'm going to shift it and point it down. Right, some of it is still on there, yes, but is it shining through as brightly as it did through the hole? Can we compare this at all to the eyes and how the eyes work, how light gets into the eye from the cornea to the pupil to the lens to the retina? What do you think?
All right, so now let us talk. Which part of the eye is represented by the hole in the paper roll? Very good. That's correct. Which part of the eye is similar to the screen on which the light was shown? Wonderful, audience. That's right. That would be the retina. What happened when the light was shown away from the paper? Did it shine through the hole and onto the screen? Why? Excellent, excellent responses. Now, if you had put an opaque object before the light source, would it still shine through to the screen? Why or why not? Says. All right, so let us move on to activity 2. For this activity, you will need a strip of aluminum foil and you will need a common pin, or you can use a pencil or a pen, something that is not going to bore a very large hole. Now for the procedure, step 1, you will write a hypothesis of how an object will appear. Is it going to appear smaller, larger, unchanged when it is seen through a pinhole? Step 2, fold the aluminum foil into a rectangular shape of approximately 30 centimeters by 7 centimeters. Cover your eyes with the foil as shown in this picture. And now you're going to describe what it is that you see. Give an explanation. Why is it that you're seeing what you're seeing? Okay, very good. Now step 3, you're going to use the pin to make a tiny hole in the foil paper directly where your eyes will be. So you're going to take off the foil paper from your eyes. You're going to put a tiny hole where it is that your eyes would be if you are to put it back over your eyes. Step 4, you are now going to cover your eyes again with the foil paper, and you are now going to arrange it so that your eyes are where the holes are. Describe what you see again. Look at an object. Is it larger, smaller, the same size? Okay, very good. Step 5. Now you're going to shift the foil paper so that the tiny holes are no longer directly over your eyes. Are you still able to see? Why or why not? What conclusion can you draw about how light travels? Was your hypothesis that you wrote in step 1 correct? Now here are the explanations to what it is that you just did. When there is no hole in the foil, or when the hole is moved away from the eyes, you are not able to see because the light is being blocked from entering your eyes. Light travels in a straight line and is reflected from objects to our eyes. Light enters through the cornea, then to the pupil, to the lens, before an upside down image is formed on the retina, which is like a screen. The retina has millions of tiny sensitive cells that are triggered and which send messages to the brain via the optic nerve. The brain then interprets the image right side. This takes me to the end of my presentation, colleagues. As you can see, all materials used were found in the home. There would be scientific jargon used when the children would have been giving their explanations. Math would come out when they were estimating and measuring the length and breadth of their foil strips. Engineering can come out if they were asked to prepare their own paper roll. And technology can be integrated if the students are asked to record themselves conducting their investigations or giving their explanations. This activity can be made into a blended one if it is modified. The students can conduct their investigations, then come to class and discuss their findings. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you got some ideas that can be built upon for the coming school year. I thank you.
Hi, and welcome to my presentation on STREAM activities on a budget. Hi, I'm Miss Janelle Malcolm, and I'll be one of your presenters for today. Welcome to my biology class. Does anybody have any idea what today's activity will be about? Type your answers in the chat. Moderator, do you see the answer? If you guess something about the blood, then you are right. Today, we're going to be looking at trying to represent blood transfusions. Alright guys, let's check on all the things we will need to carry out today's activity. Alright, first up, we have food coloring. Two colors in particular, blue and red. Next, we have plastic cups. About 5 to 9 of them will do the trick. Check. Next, we're going to need some water. Alright, guys, do you think we have everything? I hope so. Let's begin. Let's look at the video and see what prerequisite knowledge the kids would need to have in order to fully access the activity.
Yeah. Alright, so we're going to be looking at the idea of donors and recipients for various blood types. Alright, so here with no color, this is blood type O. Alright, blue, blood type B, that means that they have antigen B. Red, blood type A, they have antigen A. And the person with this blood type has a combination of blue and red, and so we got purple, and this is blood type AB.
Time to look at our procedure. But before we do that, what set of instructions do you think the kids would need to have first? Know that the apparatus, the materials, and the mixing of the solutions will be out of the way. Let's look at how they will actually manipulate them.
So we're gonna pour a small amount of recipient's blood, in here. Alright, small amounts. And we want to see what blood type they can receive without actually changing their color. Alright, so first up in this class, I actually have blood type O. Alright, so can somebody with blood type O receive blood from somebody with O already without, and it's possible once there is no change in color. See there? No change in color. So this transfusion can happen. So a person with blood type O can receive blood type O. Okay? So these guys, remember, are the recipients. This is the donor. Okay? Alright. So if I am blood type A, can I receive blood from someone with blood type O? Still pretty much red. And so yes, all right, color itself hasn't changed much, and so there is not going to be an immune response, which means that if I have blood type O, I can donate my blood to somebody with blood type A. If somebody has blood type B, can they get blood from me with blood type O? Alright, yes, they can. Still blue, good to go. And if somebody has blood type AB, can they get blood from someone with blood type O? It's still pretty much purple. All right. So yes, that is possible. Okay, and that is why blood type O is known as the universal donor.
What will they be looking for to indicate whether or not a blood transfusion between different blood types would be possible? Story time. The streets were bustling with activity. Cars road. Joe was crossing the road, but he wasn't looking left and right. And unfortunately, Joe didn't see the car coming, and he was badly injured. He lost a lot of blood. He was rushed to the hospital by the ambulance, and while they were doing the surgery, they realized that they needed to replace the blood he had lost. What would they need to do at this point? Okay guys, trivia time! Let's see if you're psychic. Watch this video clip and see if you can predict the blood type of the donor.
If they can receive blood, then their color is not going to be affected. It's not gonna change from a darker color to a lighter color. That's not the change we're looking at. We're looking at it changing from red to blue, or red to purple, or blue to purple, or colorless to actually having a color. That signifies that the immune system is going to respond and reject the blood transfusion right away. All right, so if you are blood type O, can you receive blood from someone with blood type A? The answer? No. Right away, the color has changed. This transfusion will not work out. All right, it will trigger their immune. If the person who's receiving the blood is gonna trigger their immune system, and they're gonna start rejecting the blood right away. Oh no, our time is up. Guys, you know I have to give props where props is due. So I want to big up Mrs. Namoy Chisholm. She's the one who introduced this activity to me, and I am also grateful to her. Big her up. Bless up yourself, girl. Love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Guys, thank you so much for being a great audience. I hope you found this activity helpful. Bye-bye. Hi.
My esteemed colleagues, it is with much pleasure that I welcome the opportunity to once more be able to present on this platform. I am Charon Grant, Master Teacher at Farm Primary and Infant School. Today's presentation will see us measuring capacity and showcasing activities that can be explored by students from infancy to grade 3. You will see where students will define the term capacity, estimate the capacity of different non-standard units, compare the capacity of different containers, as well as create wanted posters, songs, jingles, and poems about capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are no strangers to STEM and their activities. However, throughout this lesson, our students will bring up the scientific component where they're defining the term capacity, measuring and showing the capacity of liquids using different containers and different substances. Paint, Kool-Aid, food coloring, and of course, even some syrup were items that they found to use. The technological aspect would have seen them recording and taking pictures of their experiments. Also, while performing jingles, songs, and poems, they would have been creating wanted posters using online and offline tools. They will be engineers, ladies and gentlemen, engineering and cutting paper and plastic containers to make cups and other measuring apparatus. For mathematics, they will be calculating, estimating, counting, and recording the different capacity. Now, let's go stemming, ladies and gentlemen, through our students' demonstrations. In fact, they will be showing you how much each container they had holds. Meet our first presenter.
My name is January Ellis. I attend Farm Primary and Infant School. Today we're going to measure the capacity of this container. We want to know how many cups fill this container. First, second, and third. So 3 cups fill this container. Now we have to write down the finding. We're going to find.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am certain you would agree with me that he is a budding scientist. And of course, our next component would have involved them enjoying their own songs and jingles and poems. And of course, here they are. Here's one presenter who is showcasing his jingle / poem on what is capacity.
Capacity by Jordan Wilson. Jimmy, I had to try Twitter so I can see the rain, just so I yet it be make 2010 the wind, fire, and the elements to subside, so I can put it all more or to get the capacity to decide. Capacity are more, capacity are yes. Next time I will tell you about the rest.
And of course, we always look forward to the next opportunities when we have to engage and discuss what capacity is. Thank you, Drayden. All right, our next presenter is going to be our final presenter who will be demonstrating how much it can hold.
think that's cut number 4. That wasn't the cut number 4. It's okay though. That's cut number 5 now. And voila. So it takes 5 cups to fill that. Awesome. Awesome. I love it.
And we love it too. And of course, as budding scientists, you would have heard them being encouraged in the backgrounds by their parents and corrected too. Here you would have heard the correction in counting. Here they did their most wanted posters as well as capacity definition cards using online tools. And for those students who did not have access, they would have done their drawings and of course collected labels with the actual standard measurements for things found in their home, and they would have cut and pasted to present in poster form. They would have done their assessment through doing different critical thinking activities as well as live worksheets, as is seen demonstrated here. Now we end today's session for this presentation with a quote that says, "Tell me and I may forget, teach me and I will remember, however, involve me and I learn." And I use this opportunity to say a big thank you. I look forward to your questions in our question and answer segment. Thank you.
Good day, educators. I'm Ophelia Jones, a teacher of physical education at the Immaculate Conception High School. Today, I'll demonstrate teaching chemical digestion and physical activities using STEM activities. The STEM objectives are as follows. For science, students will explore chemical digestion and the role it plays on an athlete. For technology, students will use either their textbook or the internet to ascertain a meal plan befitting an athlete. For engineering, students will prepare such meal. And for mathematics, students will document the portions for each ingredient that they use as a part of their meal. Now, let's look on to the class objectives. Now let's get right into it. Educators, I need your thoughts. On screen we have 2 individuals. Both of them are athletes. Now, who do you think will be more successful within a race? Is it the athlete who had no breakfast or the athlete who had something to eat this morning? Let me hear your comments. Put it in the chat. Tell me who would be more successful, who you think will be more successful within the race. Alright. So, based on our introductory video, what are some things that can be found within our mouth? So here we have on screen some help. So again, type it in the chat. What are some things that we can find within our mouth? So, based on your research or prior knowledge, tell me in your own words what you think digestion is. Again, put it in the chat. Let's have a discussion. What do you think digestion is? Great. So digestion can be described as the breaking down of food particles into smaller units so that they can be used by the body to build and repair cells as they provide energy. Now we're faced with another question. We're going to talk about chemicals now. When you hear the word chemical, what comes to mind? What do you think is a chemical? So chemicals can be described as any substance that causes a reaction when it is fused or combined with matter. I'm sure we all know what matter is: solid, liquid, or gas. So now that we know what chemicals are and we know what is digestion, let us now put them together. So we are now at the big question: what is chemical digestion? To get the answer to that, let's do a little experiment. Now for this experiment, all you need is a slice of white bread or crackers. Now if you haven't already gotten yours, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to quickly run to the kitchen and get it. Alright, now that we're all back, I want you to take a bite out of your bread or crackers. Now as you're chewing, I want you to write in the chat what is happening to the food within your mouth. Is anything happening to the taste of it? Let me know what's happening. So when that bread is placed into your mouth, immediately your mouth starts producing extra saliva. And within that saliva, there's an enzyme that is called salivary amylase. So when this enzyme is fused with the starch that is found within the bread or the crackers, it is broken down into smaller molecules called maltose, thus giving it that sweetish taste that you're now experiencing. And this maltose is ultimately broken down into glucose, and this is what gives the body energy. So based on our experiment, it is safe to say that chemical digestion involves the secretion of enzymes throughout our digestive tract. And these enzymes break down chemical bonds that hold food particles together, and they allow the food to be broken down into small digestible parts. Remember that 2 athlete that we made mention of on the onset of this presentation? Now, if it is that the full athlete would be more successful within their race, do you think it makes sense for them to eat right before their activities? Let me hear your thoughts, educators. Remember, type it in the chat. When it comes to pre-event meals, which are meals consumed before an event, now these meals should not be consumed just before the event. Rather, they should be consumed about 1 to 4 hours prior, taking in consideration the type of event. Now, these meals should be high in starch, as the athlete needs all the energy that they can get. For assignment, students will be asked to make a video of themselves preparing a meal suitable for the 100-meter athlete. Now, within their meal preparation, they should be explaining why it is that they choose this meal choice. Thank you, educators, for participating and being attentive throughout this presentation. I do hope that you unearth some gems that you can integrate within your classrooms.
Good day, everyone. I am Mitzi Burns, and I use this opportunity to welcome you to the STEM Zone. So today we are looking at how STEM is just a way of thinking, and it helps us to be more to focus more on student-centered approaches. I've chosen to focus on food groups and their nutrients. So the objective that I selected from the NSC is to identify the food nutrients. Of course, we know that these are substances that our body needs to keep fit and healthy. And of course, we get these from the food that we eat. The 6 essential ones are water, vitamins, minerals, fats, carbs. Of course, there's protein as well. And we are going to do a little food test, of course, just for using brown paper, a little bit of oil, and some water. Now, Madam Moderator, can anybody in the chat tell us which Jamaican delicacy do we have that is served in a brown paper bag that gives us what? Yes, oil stains, so we know that there's fat in it. Please chat for me, Madam Moderator. I know we all know what delicacy that is. Yes, I know. Yes, and then of course, once it dries, then it looks almost transparent. And that is how we know that there is fat in the stem zone. Moving on. Now I'm in the site called explorelearning.com, and here I have launched what they call a gizmo. Gizmos. Yeah, so this gizmo has been launched where it's a simulated activity where they're using the different chemicals to test for the different nutrients, carbs, protein, as you can see from the simulated activity there. And then following that, you have an assessment activity. Now, if you were in my class and I gave the code and you came in, of course, once you do this assessment activity, I can see from here the answers and what you have done. I'd get the results, I get the feedback, all right? I'd get the feedback based on how you did and what you did. Another platform that we could use is Flipgrid. I'd gone ahead and did this. I uploaded a video from YouTube which explained about the different food groups, I beg your pardon, the different nutrients that we get from the different foods. That is what I meant to say. As well as to create a slide for my students to complete a balanced meal. So this slideshow is just showing us what they could do, what foods they would need to put on their plate to ensure that they have a balanced diet. And this is the plate. Yes, fruits, veg, protein, because of course, based on the video, they would be able to know which food they'll be able to get which nutrient from. And then after that, they using this big fat red button at the bottom here that says record a response, they could say in just 1 minute, okay, I have learned what are the nutrients, I have learned what foods I can eat to make sure I have a balanced diet and that kind of thing. All right, so moving on, here goes. So remember now, for the fat test, we may use ethanol. Yes, that's for the lipids, and or we could use the brown paper. Now, when starch is present though with iodine, and see, based on this bread that we're looking at, 1 drop of iodine on this slice of bread shows us that starch. How do we know? It changes to blue-black. All right, so no, we can't use rum as alcohol, or we can't use wine, but we could use as a substitute. If we don't have ethanol, we could use rubbing alcohol. All right, that's for ethanol. Watch this video and then let's see if we can figure out what happens. So that's a drop of ethanol, and then here comes the iodine. Oh, I'm just using a bit of bread there, as it says on the label. And look at that. See, Look at that once it goes on the bread. Wow. Wow. For the fat test using brown paper, of course, we know that we should see the oil mark. So let's watch this video and see what happens. If it will decide to play. We'll move back just a bit and then see if we can go forward. We have 2 pieces of brown paper and we've put just a drop of oil on one and a drop of water on the other. And we've smeared it on so that it soaks through. And then look at what happens with both pieces of paper after I've I've dried it for some hours because I put it to dry for a few hours. Look at this sheet with the oil and look at the sheet that had the water on it. Completely dried. But the one with the oil got spread all over. So, to make it all work for you, use what you can find in your home. Use platforms that offer simulations, such as explorelearning.com that offers online simulations, and of course, Flipgrid. That is all. Thank you. Good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, our first set of presenters. I hope you were inspired by those STEM on a budget presentations. As you would have recognized, getting students to be hands-on does not have to be expensive. We just need to know how to use the resources that we have at our disposal. Now, to get ready for our next set of presenters, I'm going to ask a riddle. I want you to respond in the chat. What did Michelangelo say to the ceiling? Waiting for the response. What did Michelangelo say to the ceiling? Let's hear from my bright sparks. Anyone can answer that riddle? What? I will have you covered. That's right. He said, I got you covered. Thank you, Mitzi. Well, my colleagues, our next set of educators definitely have STEM covered. Who would have thought the two, that's art and STEM, could complement each other so well? Please show some love to our art teachers as they demonstrate how they use STEM with the blended approach. Take it away again, Mrs. Malady.
Hi everyone, I am Nadine Robinson, your visual arts teacher. Today we will be looking at a very big idea, learning from the masters. We will be looking at pastiche. Now let's look at today's objective. Students will apply the knowledge of appropriation and create expressionistic sunflowers in the style of Vincent van Gogh. Let's look at the STEAM attainment targets. For science, students will investigate, test the theory of pastiche, and be able to analyze the results after the activity. For technology, they will use appropriate technologies to execute their document and upload design tasks. For engineering, they will review the design process and employ its use in executing the assigned task. For art, students will use a range of media tools and techniques to bring together the skills of observation, interpretation, representation, and rendering to create works of art. They will participate in an informed disclosure about art so as to increase their understanding and appreciation of art. For math, students will explore geometric shapes and space using grids and their relationship within the given task. Now, let's look at the engagement activities. The asynchronous activity, students will review presentation on the 20th century art movement using the link provided. For the synchronous activities, students will share their views on what is meant by learning from the masters. Now, let's think about this cartoon, Shaolin Showdown, and hear what the students have to say. What do you think a master could be? They will also explain their understanding in relation to what a master could be. Now, let's listen to the students' testament.
Based on the image that I show you with the Shaolin master, what do you think the role of the master is? I think the role of the master is to teach the students the proper thing to do when they are fighting an enemy. Okay, now when we put that in the visualized context, what do you think the role of the master is in the visualized?
I think the master serves as an example to the students. The students can look at the master's work and apply stuff that the master does in their own work.
Okay, so you're actually learning from the best of the best?
Yes.
Okay. What does learning from the master mean?
Learning from the master means to follow what they are doing. Like, for example, teachers, they're teaching their students what they're supposed to do, walk them through the basic steps, and teaching them everything.
You'll look for works of experienced artists in your field, and you look at what they do and try to emulate it in your own work.
After the engagement activity, the explanation that students given were then said for them to explore. Now, what is a pastiche? A pastiche is any work of art that imitates the style of another artist or art. Pastiche of Vincent van Gogh Sunflower. This is what students will be doing. They'll be doing their expressionistic sunflower. They will use a variety of media that is available and pay keen attention to the techniques used by the artist. Now here are some samples of a series of the sunflower done by Vincent van Gogh. Now for the grid example, this is another way of doing a pastiche, and students will utilize this with the math integration. Here is a sample of a student pastiche. And here are some other results from the class. Now, this project has helped me to be more deliberate in my planning for blending learning. I have a better understanding how to engage my students synchronously and asynchronously, especially since the pandemic. The incorporation of STEM made the lessons more authentic and reliable to the real world. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, My name is Michelle Williams, and I'm a senior teacher at the Clancarthy High School, where I do teach visual arts. Come with me on this journey where we're going to just take a snip of my lesson, graphic design, where the big idea is a logo. So my main objective is to create logos by following a design brief for a given theme. Of course, I employed STEAM into my objectives. So for science, I basically asked the students to conduct some research, analyze the data, and to come up with some grand ideas. We used basic technology to produce the designs. And for engineering, we did create works of art using the design process. For art, the students develop designs for functional use on a given concept. And last but not least, math. Because art occupies space, we looked on geometric shape and space. So here goes. What is a logo? A logo is a simple mark used to represent a business, organization, or an individual. My blended approach. Asynchronously, the students, they were instructed to do research and to come up with their grand idea for creating the logo design. And synchronously, we discuss and critique the designs that they did. Now, here my student explained her design process for her logo design. Tiana, we're going to pick up from where we left off the last time. I wanted to show me how far you reached with the logo today.
The name of my logo is Island Barbers.
Oh, okay. So how you get Island Barbers using that scissors and all that? So give me an idea what you did.
Okay, so barber, the scissors represents the barber aspect of the logo, and the trees that you can see right here and the sea, those represent the island aspect. And the IB is my design. You see the I right here and the B right here. So IB, Island Barbers.
Brittany, I'm not hearing Brittany. It seems as if Brittany is not here. All right, so Tiana, tell me something. What is the process that you use to go through?
Okay, Miss. The process that I use is once we got the assignment, logo design, and the topic Island Barbers, I first researched the color scheme that barbers use, and I found it was blue, red, and white. And then I started to search up some ideas to bring this to life.
Very good, girl. How did you incorporate technology into your design?
Okay, so I incorporated technology by using my hand because my hand is considered as basic technology.
All right, so what I want you to do for the rest of us, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to work on it. I want to see it coming to life. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to color, and let me see if I can get in touch with Brittany in the meantime. Of course,
Okay,
they were told that their pens and their pencils are what they use for their basic technology. For our next video, I'm actually sharing with you her completed work. All right, so Tiana, let me have a look at your completed logo.
Here it is, Miss.
Awesome! Wow! Tell me how you felt doing it.
Well, Miss, because I had to research, to get the design, I've gained a lot of knowledge, and I really enjoyed doing this design.
So that's our finished product. Since this pandemic, I was exposed to the blended approach to learning. This project really has helped me to properly plan my lesson for a STEM or STEAM integration. I can tell you, I feel so much more confident planning and executing a STEAM lesson using the blended approach. Thank you for watching.
My STEAM lesson plan. Art is not what you see, but what you make others see.
in the words of Edgar Degas. This afternoon, I hope I can make you see the value of the STEAM lesson plan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Netifnet Matra, a mentee of the Seed Grant Art Group. I've been tasked with preparing and implementing a STEAM lesson plan. The area I chose to look at was collage at the grade 7 level. For the culminative activity, students were given a choice of 3 topics: underwater, the circus, and construction workers. In order to facilitate the blended learning approach, which is now an integral part of the STEAM lesson planning, before creating their pieces, students were required to research on materials and techniques used in the past that are still being used by collage artists today. The findings were presented synchronously through discussions in the class, and the research was done asynchronously. The STEAM attainment targets were used as a guideline for the culminative activity, which was the creation of a collage piece, which would reflect as much as possible their findings. As part of this process, students were allowed to use hand-on or digital technology of their choice, such as Google Slides and Microsoft Words. They could also choose from a variety of construction methods: cutting, tearing, printing, etching, drawing, etc. This process was guided by the use of elements and principles of art, namely lines, shapes, colors, space, pattern, repetition, and movement, along with picture-making techniques such as composition. Mathematical concepts such as measurements were incorporated, along with spatial concepts such as perspective and patterns. Outcomes: the students' work produced showed creativity despite being affected by the lack of access to a wide variety of materials. This impacted their ability to apply extensively the knowledge gleaned from their research. Works produced: Khalid went with the theme underwater and combined a variety of media such as prints, cord, paper, sand, and objects made from foam. Brandon chose to use digital media for his construction work, images of buildings being constructed with images of workers and their equipment. Daniel chose to also explore the theme underwater, and he combined cutting with drawing and the use of media such as foam, paper, and crayons. While Anthony continued with the exploration of the underwater theme, combining drawn and printed images with three-dimensional objects such as shells and stones. Joshua took a more montage approach, combining pictures from magazines of sites being constructed and the construction workers. In reflecting on all that was done, I would like to say that the STEAM workshop has provided me with a deeper insight into the STEAM initiative and have given me a greater appreciation for the strategies used to facilitate blended learning, such as asynchronous and synchronous learning. It has allowed me to better facilitate students' independent learning and to pull from their prior knowledge as well as to empower them. It will also enable me to construct lessons that are better designed to stimulate critical thinking and encourage a problem-solving approach to learning in the future. Thank you for your time, and thanks to my mentor and students who have made this possible.
So fascinating. I love art. but I think I have 10 big fingers when it comes down to art. Although I know that my art teachers would say nothing like that. They would just need to teach me what to do, right? Excellent work, excellent work. Now, colleagues, according to Kevin Sessoms, when one person mentors, two lives are changed. I wonder if I could hear from either one of our mentors or one of our mentees now. Do you agree with Kevin Sessoms? Was your life changed in any way being a mentor or having been mentored? Who is going to share with us to kind of break the monotony that's been going on, although they are excellent presentations? Someone please unmute and speak. Thank you. Come on, man. We can't have the long silence in the recording. Miss Michelle? Okay, go ahead, Michelle. Thank you. Am I the only one that I'm not hearing you? No, not hearing you. Are you connected to audio? I'm not sure you are. Michelle Brighton, see you want to go ahead for her?
Yeah, you mentioned that when one person mentor, two persons benefit.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so true. Not only the mentor and the mentee, but I'm sure with the mentoring of one person, that person also carry on mentoring another one, and it continues. So I don't think it's just two.
Okay.
I think it continues.
Okay, great. And can you pick up on anything that you would have done while you were mentoring those three art teachers? How did you change? How did you benefit? Any specific instance that you would like to share?
I think I learned a lot from my teachers. I learned different approaches. Even though I was there to guide them, I learned different approaches and to just see how things can be done in different ways. They're so versatile. So it made me more versatile in my approach.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bright Chinsey. Michelle, I don't know if you're back and you want to try again. Oh no, unfortunately, we're still not hearing you. I'm sorry. All right then, because we have to be careful with our timing, I'll just continue on and say thank you though for your willingness to have come out and speak. So sorry I'm not hearing you. So colleagues, our final set of presenters are a mix of educators. Chief among them are two student teachers who were mentored and given the opportunity to develop and refine some skills even before they enter the classroom. Now, after these four presenters do their thing, then Mrs. Malady is going to come in and is going to show us a video before she hands over to Rebecca, who will take us through the Q&A session. So I think this is going to be the last time that you're hearing my voice. And so before I go, I want to say it was my greatest pleasure moderating these two webinars. And I must express sincere gratitude to Dr. Joseph Thomas, who picked me out and gave me this platform to build my network. I do salute you, Dr. Thomas, and of course, my mentor, Mrs. Malady. So, my colleagues, thanks to you again for being here. Without an audience, of course, this would not have been possible. And so we are now going to go into our final set of presentations. Here we go on this final journey. Take us away, Mrs. Malady.
We know that the STEAM approach is a more contemporary framework of education using science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to guide the application of the 4 C's within the teaching and learning process. I am Denelise Wright, and I am going to reflect on how I incorporated the STEAM approach within the foreign language classroom during my online teaching experiences using the blended approach, the synchronous and asynchronous methods to enhance student-centeredness. Within the synchronous environment, Science. The students and I, we had brief discussions on the benefits of bilingualism and multilingualism for the brain. Students were given the opportunity to couple science with foreign language education by analyzing the mechanics of the brain in relation to the linguistic abilities of humans. Technology. Considering the fact that we are living in an era where we're teaching digital natives, by integrating the use of social media, learning outcomes that are positive will be promoted. Thus, I used social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and even Facebook to allow students to practice their speaking skills in the target language. How? By talking about prevalent issues being circulated within these platforms, students were given the chance to talk about interesting topics using the target language and also using technology. Engineering. Students were tasked with constructing a video with any video making software of their choice, and this also promoted project-based learning because students have the opportunity of using their creativity and their critical thinking skills while building upon their engineering skills to construct and carefully design a video of their own. The arts. Literary integration, such as tongue twisters and short stories, can be incorporated to couple foreign language education with the arts. Students can also create jingles by capitalizing on their creative skills and also songs to help them to remember the content, such as verb forms and their associated tenses. And they can also be given the opportunity to embody the characters they are reading about through means of role plays. This is where they're learning their theatric skill. Mathematics. This is where students were given activities to promote their critical thinking skills. The logical mathematical intelligence is activated through certain games such as puzzles. I want everybody to try this. This is good for pronunciation. Lily, leave.
Lily, leave.
Dans le lit.
Dans le lit.
Lily, leave dans le lit. Después de escuchar la canción, vamos a dar nuestras respuestas a las preguntas. ¿Vale? Entonces, después de 3, 1, 2, 3. Los verbos reflexivos, ¿cómo podemos identificarlos? ¿Cómo los conjugamos? Say is at the end of the infinitive, but what really makes them reflexive? Back to the subject, the action is reflected. So pay attention to the sentence. Say is at the end of the infinitive, but what really makes them reflexive? Back to the subject, the action is reflected. So pay attention to the sentence. Now for the asynchronous approach. Science. Students can be given videos on the scientific facts and benefits about the sphere of language learning and acquisition, and then an open discussion panel for students to make comments in their own time. So what I did, I posted the link to these videos within the Google Classroom platform, and then students commented and gave their feedback. Technology. Students could be given a video on YouTube here again to watch, and from that, they would be able to make their notes on their own time. Engineering. We could promote collaboration and project-based learning by allowing them to create websites using Google Sites. So what I did, I divided the class into groups, and each group was assigned a country of the target language. For example, in the Spanish class, one group may be required to research the cultural phenomena of Spain, another Mexico, and another even Equatorial Guinea. While in the French class, another group was given to research France, one Martinique, and another the Ivory Coast. The students would meet on their own time to plan ideas, research content, and then construct sites that would be done in the asynchronous periods, and the students would be given a deadline by which they would be required to submit their first draft and another for the final submission of links. The arts. Students would be tasked to create a song in groups based on the content posted during the asynchronous period. So if you're using the Google Classroom platform, during this time, the educator could post a link to a website or even post information on the platform, and then from the information gathered, students would create a song in groups to promote collaboration right here and cooperative learning based on the content to help them to reapply the knowledge when giving evaluation, and to also help them to remember to use for further use. Mathematics. Students could use online gaming sites such as wordwall.net or even Edpuzzle, which allows the facilitator to create crisscross puzzles for students to complete for an asynchronous session.
Here is an example of how I incorporated the T in the STEAM approach within my asynchronous classroom, specifically within a grade 8 classroom. So the topic is Enke Piso Vives 2. So I want my students to be more competent with the G Suite because we're living in a technological era. Therefore, I posted links using Google Docs and Google Forms for students to have activities to do throughout the asynchronous period. So we're seeing specifically where I posted a graded worksheet entitled Enke Piso Vives 2, and students will be required to complete the activity using Google Docs. Sometimes I use Google Docs, sometimes I use Google Forms. Using both, it allows the students to be more competent with the G Suite. Here is also another example of how I incorporated the STEAM approach within the asynchronous learning environment, specifically in another grade 8 class. I used a game with the aid of the website wordwall.net to allow students to capitalize on their analytical skills. Basically, the link was posted during the asynchronous period, and the topic of the lesson is En la Ciudad, within the city. So what students are required to do, they will simply click the link, identify themselves, and place themselves in my classroom, and then the link will take them right to the game. As you can see in the background, the game is in the structure of a maze, and it basically allows students to think carefully about their progression. So they will have to analyze the game carefully enough in a way that they will know what moves not to make and what moves to make. Therefore, promoting their analytical skills and also coupling mathematics with foreign language education.
I will now share how the mentorship program impacted my professional development by enhancing my personal performance as a student teacher to embrace the blended approach. Through group-based tasks, the program allowed us as student teachers to capitalize on our collaborative skills. Furthermore, collaboration is crucial in my professional development, as we all know that teamwork makes the dream work. Collaboration is crucial to promote the efficiency of the education within the 21st century. Additionally, through the mentorship program, I learned about the variation of online tools and applications that can be used to enhance the blended approach. Therefore, through the completion of the mentorship program, I was able to be more competent in the G Suite, along with other applications that helped me during my teaching experiences to be a more effective foreign language educator and to have more effective lessons.
Hello, everyone. I am Antoinette Reed Walters. I teach at Mount St. Joseph Catholic High School in Jamaica. The subject, family and consumer management. And the topic that was taught was consumer education to a group of grade 8 students. Now, the students would have been exposed to the first aspect of the lesson synchronously via Google Meet, where we discussed terms associated with consumer education, consumer rights and consumer responsibilities, and we calculated higher purchase. Now, using the STEAM lesson plan as it relates to the asynchronous aspect of the lesson, the students were expected to present information on wise consumer practices using make-believe comics or any other online tool that demonstrated creativity. Now, the students were expected to work in groups which encouraged collaboration. Now, from extract from the lesson plan, which demonstrated STREAM, they are as follows. For science, scientific information from consumer protection agencies, technology, tools and materials used in creating the consumer campaign, reading content material as it relates to consumer education, engineering, design a pamphlet on consumer rights to be displayed at a consumerism expo, art, use an online tool to create a comic on wise consumer practices, and for mathematics, calculate total cost in a hire purchase agreement. And now we look at the pieces of work that were submitted by the students in their respective groups.
Teach them well that family knows. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody search.
Yes, and there you have it. Different presentations that were submitted by the students. Now, the students would have submitted the work and they would have received feedback, and we met synchronously again via Google Meet to go through each group's presentation, and I provided clarity and additional information where necessary based on the work that they would have submitted. Now I want to thank the OAS ITN mentorship in the STREAM teaching for this life-changing experience that has enhanced my skills in lesson plan writing, which will inevitably foster growth and the development in the young minds that I will interact with in my teaching profession. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Francis and I would like to thank each stakeholders for the opportunity for me to showcase how STEAM was integrated into my asynchronous and synchronous classes and how this has better prepared me for teaching in the new academic year. On screen, you are seeing the two objectives of this presentation to show that STEAM is very beneficial to develop understanding and creativity in students regardless of the type of classroom used, and to explain how mentoring and this blended approach has helped me to better prepare for teaching in the new academic year. I will start by speaking about the synchronous classes. The online platforms that I had to use for the synchronous classes were Zoom and Google Meet. At first, I had many challenges with learning how to share the audio, the camera, with recording, and with integrating the different tools. But my mentor was not only patient, but kind and understanding, and explained and had different little meetings with me to not only explain, provide point forms of what to do, but to demonstrate what to do. And this helped me tremendously for when I was teaching the students and to ensure that they understand the lesson. Now on screen, you'll be see some responses from my students. These students were in grade 9 and I was teaching about the endocrine system. The tool that was being used was the Jamboard from the Google Suite. And I like to share my screen and provide the link for the Jamboard in the chat. And normally I would ask the students a question. So the question that was asked for these responses is to explain which different glands they believe is most important in the endocrine system. And as you can see, there are multiple responses and there were multiple pages. This activity not only developed engagement from my students, but it also developed critical thinking, as some students would agree as to why another gland is important, and there would be some students that disagreed as well and stated why they believe their gland is more important than the other student's gland that they stated. On screen, you're seeing another demonstration of how the Jamboard was beneficial to my class. This was a grade 8 class where I was teaching about the different types of solutions. And I had given the students an activity in class where I asked them to create a Jamboard and to add me to each Jamboard. And they were asked to then demonstrate what they believe would happen to a carrot if one carrot is placed in a solution that is concentrated in salt and another carrot is placed in a solution that is not concentrated with salt. So you are seeing these drawings and explanations were then shared with the entire class, and students were able to provide their feedback, encouragement, and ask critical questions. Now you are seeing two pictures from two different groups about what they believe would occur. We will now be looking at how STEAM was integrated into my asynchronous class. Now, for this section of the presentation, I'll be looking at each aspect of STEAM. Now, the first aspect that we will be looking at is science. The students were asked to conduct a mini lab activity, and you will now be watching a video of one student's experiment.
So I'm going to measure the potato chips, and they are approximately 6.2 centimeters. Okay, so 6.2 centimeters. Then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt into the green can. Right? 2 of these strips into the green container, and 2 of these into the regular water. And I'm going to leave for 20 minutes. So 20 minutes later, I took the molds and I'm going to measure them. So the one in the water is approximately 6.5 centimeters. And the one in the salt, which got a lot more softer and slimier, is 5.5 centimeters. So you can clearly see the difference between the one in the water and the one in the salt, in the texture as well. So this one in the water is a bit harder than the one that was in the salt. Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll be looking at the second component of STEAM, which is technology. The students were taught about the topic of water pollution and were then asked to write a poem or create a jingle using whatever technology they feel comfortable with. On screen, you are seeing a poem that is written by one of the students, and now I will be playing an audio recording of a jingle that one student created. Thank you very much. My apologies for the low quality of the audio recording. The next component that we will be looking at is engineering. Students were asked to create, using different materials found in their home, a model of the reflex arc. The students had learned about voluntary, involuntary, and reflex actions and were introduced to a picture showing the reflex arc. They were now asked to create their own model. You are seeing two pictures showcasing students' creation, and now you will be watching a video a student made demonstrating the use of their model.
So this is the hand, and when it gets a stimulus like a needle pricking the hand right here, the connection, the message would go along the central neuron, which is a pseudo-unipolar neuron, and it would go to the spine, just straight to the spine, not even to the brain, because the body wants to protect itself from danger. And it would go, and from the spine to from the intraneuron, it would go right back down to the muscle, which is the effector, because it is causing an effect, and the effector muscle would cause the hand to immediately move away from it, so it would be kind of like this. Like as soon as something happens, the message would be relayed straight up to the spinal cord, and then from there to...
Thank you very much. Now we'll be seeing how art was integrated into the classroom. The students were introduced to the circulatory system. They learned about the blood and the different components of the blood. They were then asked to make a poster whether a regular poster or an interactive poster, and you are seeing on screen two examples of students' creation. I agree that it looks very beautiful. Last aspect of STEAM that we will be looking at how it is integrated into my asynchronous class is M for mathematics. The students learned about the composition of the air. They were taught how to calculate the different percentage, how to convert it into angles, the different types of angles, and how to create a pie chart demonstrating this information. They were then given the assignment of creating their own pie chart showing the composition of air and to speak briefly about each section in their pie chart. A video will now be played showing one of the works of our students. You are also seeing the picture of one work of my student as well.
This is a pie chart displaying the composition of gases in the atmosphere. These gases will be discussed from the most abundant to the least abundant. First, we have nitrogen. This represents 78% of the atmosphere and is extremely important in the agricultural industry. It is a raw material that is required to make fertilizers, which is essential for plant growth. Next, we have oxygen. This takes up 21% of the atmosphere and is required for respiration or the breathing process in animals and humans. Next, we have other gases. This takes up 0.96% of the atmosphere. These include water vapor, the noble gases such as argon, neon, and helium. Noble gases are also called inert gases, meaning they are unreactive and will not pose any danger to life on Earth. Next, we have carbon dioxide. This takes up 0.04% of the atmosphere. This is the most important gas for the greenhouse effect and is used by plants during the process of photosynthesis.
Okay, thank you very much. So now I'll be speaking about my growth over the period that I was learning how to use the blended approach into my classroom, as well as when I was being mentored. Mentored has helped me tremendously in many ways, but on screen I had 3 different points. Mentoring has helped me to improve how I organize my lessons, which helps with execution. Mentoring has helped me to integrate STEAM more smoothly into my asynchronous and synchronous classes. Mentoring has also helped with my self-confidence and motivation when teaching. This blended approach, coupled with my mentoring, has been very beneficial for myself and by extension my students. It has shown me that classes does not have to be all about the whiteboard, markers, or the blackboard and chalk. Classes can be interesting, engaging, and lively. Students can learn in different ways, and this variety of ways will help them to teach others. It has taught me to be more confident and self-assured when I am teaching my students, and it has motivated me to look forward to teaching my students each day and to help me feel more as if I have mastered my area of specialization. And it has helped how each area is interrelated. So I would like to not only thank the stakeholders that allowed this presentation to be possible, but to also thank my mentor for being patient and working with me to be a better teacher. And I know that because of this period, I am better equipped to be teaching in the new academic year, and I am looking forward to it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Amanda Newsom, a science teacher at the Spot Valley High School. This evening, I will be sharing with you some ways how I have blended online learning with face-to-face sessions to deliver learning activities activities to my students. Now we know that in this time of the pandemic, some of us has been thrust into things that we quite are not comfortable with. But with these tips or activities, you can see where you can blend your synchronous sessions and your asynchronous sessions to have your students do activities that are quite appealing to them, no matter which areas that they are very well managed in. So for my presentation, I chose the topic of water. Now, water is a very broad topic, and there are quite a bit of activities that we can do in order to facilitate blended learning. So the first activity that I had my students do, this is for my students who are writers. I asked them to imagine that they're drinking a glass of water and suddenly they're transported to another planet. The inhabitants have never seen water. They say to you, please tell us everything about the substance that you have there. Now for my students, I asked them to write a paragraph on how they would answer the question, and ask them to ensure that they tell them how they are able to test if something has water, the importance of water, and also the properties of water. Here I have a sample of one of my students' work. Now he did a very good job in telling the new persons that he's met about water. He told them the chemical formula, he told them some of the uses and some of the properties of water. An activity like this comes after you have gone through the properties, how you test for water, and so forth with your students. This facilitates for students who are writers and are able to write. Another activity that I did with my students is the one that you're seeing up on your screen there, where the students are asked to do an investigation on surface tension. Now they're going to investigate how they're able to get a paper clip or a pin to float on water. I have a sample of a video that one of my students have shared with me, and I will share it with you now.
I'm going to, in this video, I will be checking if the pin is going to either float or it's going to sink in the pan. So here I go, I'm going to put the pin in a pan with water. It's halfway in the pan, so the water is halfway in the pan, so I'm going to put the pin in there right now. And what I see, it's not staying up on top. It's like sink in the bottom, the very bottom of the pan. So right now I'm going to try another method. I'm going to put the pin in an empty pan. So I'm putting it in, and then I'm going to add the water. And what I realized is that when I do the two methods, it's not staying on top. It's like it's not the water, although the pin seems like it's much heavier than the paper. So my observation is that it's not going, whatever you try, the pin is not going to stay on top. Thank you for watching my video today, and have a great day. Peace out.
Now, from this, when your students send in your videos, you can have discussion with them on what they may have been able to change about their demonstration. But this facilitates for your students who are hands-on or tactile learners that like to try things out for themselves. Another activity that I gave to my students was after we had a class discussion on what we were going to learn about for the day, which was water cycle. Here's a snippet of some of the answers that they gave me to questions that I posted in our water cycle class.
We get what? So my question to you is, where does rain come from?
Miss Cloud.
Kendra has her hand up. Yes, Kendra?
The cloudness.
Rain comes from the clouds. Yes, Andrew?
Miss, it's a cycle because the cloud take up water from off like ground and then
Evaporation.
Ooh, yes, I like that word, evaporation. So we get it from clouds, and Andrew says it takes it up and
Now, that was just a short part of the discussion. We had a full on class about the water cycle and what the students have told me. We went through over those things with the water cycle. After said class, the students were given an activity to create a model of the water cycle using things that they have found around them. They had the option of making it as creative as possible and even to make it three-dimensional. Now, here are some samples of my students' work in their types of water cycles that they have created. So this student here chose to do his two-dimensional, but instead of just crayoning or coloring the things, he used other pictures from other books to create his different things: his sun, his plants, his animals, and his labels showing the 4 processes. Then we have someone here that tried their best to do it more three-dimensional, showing you our grass, three-dimensional, our plants, and also they have their correct labels of the 4 processes. This last one here is a video where the student shows their three-dimensional representation of the water cycle with all their correct labelings. Now, this water cycle is simple yet effective, as they got to show the 4 main processes and they tried their best to be as creative as they possibly could. Now, those are some activities that we can do after we've had our face-to-face sessions with our students, and we can send them on their own to do research online and blend that for them to do the activities, for them to write their paragraphs, for them to do their investigations, or for them to create their water cycles. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you and good evening.
Okay, colleagues.
Good evening, everyone.
We are now at the end of this webinar, and just to quickly tell you that in 2019, I had been to Lima, Peru for a workshop and a seminar organized by ITED. At the workshop, I really felt like a student, a real student, and I came out with a confidence. And this just a few seconds, I just had to, express how I felt about the workshop. And so this video really will tell you what I felt and what I did after that when I came back to Jamaica. But I wouldn't, because of the time now, I would just quickly like to go to the next slide to show you that as a team, what did we do? This entire mentorship program was such an excellent experience for all of us. And I think as a team, we were very focused. We kept fear at bay all the time. And then authenticity, you can see that in all the presentations that the teachers did today. We had presentations which were very inclusive. We can talk about it. And I'm sure we know that in relationships, trust is very important. And that was very important for mentors and mentees. And the last, the hard work. You can see a lot of hard work put in by these teachers, by the entire team. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful to OAS Titan for giving us this wonderful opportunity. I am very thankful to all the master teachers, to JTC, and to the classroom teachers, to the entire team who made this real. Thank you so much. Over to you now, Rebecca. Quickly, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much. All right. I have seen questions kind of throughout the chat. There was one that really stuck out to me, and I would like any one of the panelists to respond to this. And that's this question about the 5E approach. I know sometimes it's not always included explicitly when we present our lesson plans. That might be written, right? But sometimes it's implicit. And I guess the question that I think this person was trying to ask is, well, how do you rectify 5E with STEM? Is there anything in particular that we need to keep in mind as we try to merge this integrated approach, hands-on approach, blended approach, and 5E? Who would like to speak to that?
Come on, colleagues, let's go. Quick. I know many of us can answer that. Does anyone want to go for that?
Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, so the 5E approach is really, the 5E approach really is how you structure your lesson, you know, step by step by step by step. STEM can be integrated, any parts of STEM can be integrated at any point, depending on your objectives. So they're not two separate things. As a matter of fact, they are integrated, right? So your engagement can be any one of the activities from STEM. You're asking them to explore, investigate, that's science right there. You're asking them now to go and explore, you know, engineering, and using it, blending it with a little math. So it's not separate. It can be blended at any time with any of the E's or with all the E's. So that is my 2 cents on that one.
Thank you.
And if I may, Rebecca?
Please, Sharon.
The 4 C's actually do come out as well, because you're having the sessions with the children, you're communicating, they're giving you responses. There goes your communication. They're thinking critically and they're giving you the responses. So your critical thinking aspect is coming out. The creativity is how the children come up with the poems, come up with the jingles. They add rhythm, they add notes, as we saw in the music and the foreign languages. You see the arts coming out. There is just no limit to our lessons, whether the 5 E's or the 4 C's are coming out. And of course, STEAM and stream activities, as you would have seen, they just come right out in the lesson. And it just, you just have to have the idea as a teacher as to what it is that your lesson is, like Mrs. Chinsey said, and how you're structuring your lesson. And then it flows right along in the stream. Okay.
Great, thank you. Another question that I think, and I know we're a little short on time, so I think this could be probably our final question. So we saw 11 different presentations, or if you attended the prior.
Rebecca, it was 12.
Sorry.
Yes. No problem.
And I think last time we had 10, if I recall.
Yes.
So, so that's 22 different presentations from many different types of teachers, right? From art teachers, from health teachers, from
PE.
PE. So it's not just
Yes.
science teachers or math teachers. And so I guess the question I have for the panelists is, if you were to look across all of these examples that we've seen tonight, what do you think are the most critical points in common? So let's synthesize here a little bit. If we were to bring all these things together, what do we critically take away from all of these different and very unique examples?
They're all authentic. They're authentic. They are real. You place the students in a real world, real life situation, and you pull that into the lesson. That would be my takeaway from all the presentations.
Thank you. Very contextualized, right? And personal, relevant. I definitely see that. Anyone else?
Rebecca, I think we have laid a real foundation for the blended approach, and we have made sure that the students and the teachers are engaged, and we took risk at times. So this blended approach, yes, come September. But from all this, what the takeaway is, how we can engage our students with cost-effective resources. We really don't need expensive, materials for STEM activities. But every topic, as everyone has seen, can be STEM-based. It can be done in a STEM-enabled classroom.
Right. Robots are great. They're not necessary. we don't have to get big shipments from,
yes,
from, across the, internationally, right? There's so much that you can do with your kitchen. And I think we've all learned that, right? From COVID. Hopefully we've learned it, and hopefully we embody that as we move forward. Would anybody else like to contribute to that question?
For me, at the lower school, Rebecca,
yes,
and panelists, for me at the primary level, especially as I interact with grade 1 students, it gives me the opportunity to allow the students to learn by doing. The hands-on and everything that they do are pretty much found in their environment, and they weren't at risk. And of course, you had the parental involvement. So this is where now many persons across Jamaica would have been complaining that they wouldn't have had parents involved, but you would have seen and heard, especially with the children who needed a little guidance, especially because of their age and stage, that they were able to do the hands-on and get it done and showcase that it can be done.
Great. And just to return to this whole concept of mentoring, right? I think it's so valuable that you're all not just doing this in your classrooms and then keeping your doors shut, right? It's so valuable that you are sharing this, because this is about a culture shift, right? For all of us, right? For many of us, probably a generation ago, classrooms were much more sterile environments. And I think we're all trying to shift that all around the world, right? And so it's just great to see so many Jamaicans leading the way for so much of the world. So thank you so much. I think at this time we're going to close then. I want to express my gratitude, of course, to Bhagya, to Carrie Ann, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Winsome Gordon, and to all of the teacher presenters, the mentors, the mentees, and to all of our attendees for coming. I do want to share with you one final opportunity. Again, I think that this opportunity for presenters, I think it's a great step towards leadership. And for any attendees, if you also want to engage in those steps towards leadership, I-10 has something called a virtual seminar, which is coming up at the end of August. But if you would like to be a contributor, not just be an observer, not just be an attendee, but actually want to contribute, we have a very easy way for you to do that. I'm going to quickly share my screen and share with you what this is all about. On August 27th and 28th, we will have a digital platform. It will be a combination of webinars, just kind of like today, and also posters where people have these little icons. They run around and can talk to you face to face, and you can present a poster. So a PDF document or an image that basically illustrates a new innovation. It could be an innovation in your classroom, but it could be an innovation or something you want to share about mentoring, for example. Our focus is on teacher education. And so while we do focus on classroom practice, we also like to really see examples of, well, how do we help other teachers become better teachers, and how do we help support teachers in general? So if you want to contribute, we ask for those poster submissions by August 1st. And if you have something that's maybe a little more interactive and you want to engage people in roundtable discussions, or you want to do some demonstrations, that would be a workshop. You could propose to do a 45-minute workshop. Also, that's due on August 1st, the proposal for that. Attendees will earn a certificate, and if you actually are a contributor, you'll earn specific numbers of hours in addition to your days of attendance. So please do consider doing that. And for those who ask questions, as you fill out your evaluation form, I will send that information over to Dr. Thomas if you leave your email address and your name, and I will share that information so that you can get credit for your attendance tonight. I think that's everything. I want to thank you all so much. If anybody has any questions, just respond to the email that you got from Zoom on behalf of I-10. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and great vacation if you're on vacation. All right. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Rebecca.
you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Good job. Proud of us.
Bye-bye. Thank
Very
you.
proud. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Very much.